How far would you go to live on next to nothing? Is it a choice or is it a necessity? Hey you, I'm Sarah. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you don't know me, I am the owner of FrozenPennies.com. I'm a financial coach, and as a family, we are debt-free. Living on next to nothing is a term that people throw around a little bit here and there. It's a pretty big deal on YouTube, how to live on next to nothing. Today I want to share with you 10 hacks that you can consider if you would like to or have to live on next to nothing. So we're creating a really cheap plan here. We're creating a plan to live on very little money. We're going to cut out everything that we don't necessarily need to survive. If you've been hit with the cost of living crisis, you might find some useful tips here. You also might find that these are ridiculous. There's no way that you can do it. It's not even possible for somebody to live in these kinds of conditions. Or you are just not willing to give up certain things, and that is okay. But you might find a couple of little golden nuggets in here that you might be able to incorporate into your life. Number one, find the cheapest place to live. This might take some creativity. According to Bankrate, at the time of this recording, a 30-year fixed mortgage is at 7.33%. Now, if I look at the graph of Bankrate and the interest rates, it is coming back down again. It was super high in the 8s a little bit earlier this year. Right now, it's getting better, but it's still incredibly high to purchase a home. The cost of homes themselves are ridiculously astronomical. Consider some unconventional living arrangements. This might look like roommates. Remember the Golden Girls? I mean, how many of us would love to live with 3 of our best friends? I would love to live with 3 of my best friends in my golden years. I watched a YouTube video a while ago, and it kind of stuck in my head, where this man actually took a garden shed and converted it into a tiny house, and he lived on the property in the garden shed and helped the people take care of their little homestead that they had. He traded his services for a place to live. I was also watching just recently a woman with her 2 20-something daughters, college-age girls. They converted her best friend's garage into a studio apartment for one woman and 2 20-something girls. It was adorable and cost them substantially less than it would to rent an apartment in LA. They were paying the mom's best friend to live in their garage. Now, I do want to say that many of these concepts that I'm going to go through here are really meant for the people who are in good health and have youth behind them. You don't have to be 20-something, but you do have to be in good health and have the energy to do this, because every single one of these concepts takes time and energy and probably a little bit of strength. Not many of these are going to be good for people who are retired or on disability that don't have the money. You might be able to find, if you are one of these that have restraints, that there might be a few concepts in here you can pull out to incorporate into your own life, but it is an interesting concept to consider. Number 2, get radical and sell everything. Anything and everything that you know that you don't need, it's not a necessity in your life, get rid of it. Embrace extreme minimalism. It's literally living on next to nothing. There's less to replace, there's less impulse purchases, there's less to fix if you don't have as much stuff. You absolutely do not have to worry about renting a storage facility or renting a garage if you don't have the stuff to put in it. Number 3, vow to only participate in free entertainment. That means no streaming, no cable, no amusement parks, no out to dinner, no movies, none of that, just free. Now, This, you can take this as radical and as extreme as you want to, which means that you're only borrowing books from the library. You're maybe not even borrowing DVDs because then you have to pay for electricity, but you already have the electricity anyway. Maybe you're not using a Roku because you have to use internet and you're not using internet. It really would depend on how extreme that you want to take this. If it were me and I was trying to live on next to nothing, then I would have internet and I would have electricity and I would be using the Roku or the smart TV maybe for the free movie apps or free TV apps. Maybe I'm borrowing DVDs from the library. Maybe I'm reading more books. That would be my best form of entertainment. YouTube would be my favorite form of entertainment because I find YouTube videos very entertaining and educational. Number 4, eat only the food that you prepare at home. This means no going out to eat, no stopping at convenience stores, no going out for coffee, and definitely no DoorDash or delivery. You are only purchasing the foods at the grocery store and preparing them at home and eating your food that way. You could take this one step further by foraging for food or growing your own food. If you have a decent environment that's susceptible to growing your food almost year-round, take full advantage of that. Even if you maybe can only do it in a window, grow what you can so you don't have to spend money on foods. Number 5, barter and trade for everything that you possibly can. If you can learn new skills to feed into this bartering and trade system that you have going on, you're better off. Identify the skills that you're better in. Network with other people either on social media or farmers markets, and be flexible. If you're looking for food, you may want to volunteer at a food pantry. Sometimes they will give you food for your volunteer hours. If you are super good at mowing somebody's lawn and they have a garden, consider that. They may have eggs from their chickens that you can trade for cleaning out the chicken coop. There are so many ways that you can barter for things. An example of how I barter in a non-extreme manner is that my friend is an excellent seamstress. When I needed my dress hemmed for a wedding, I made her a lasagna and a really good loaf of bread in exchange for the dress being hemmed. Consider exploring something like time banks or skill sharing. These are organizations or groups that trade their services for skills. They're actual organizations that exist. You exchange your time for a service without traditional currency. You might have to do some research or a little Google search on this to find organizations or groups in your area that do this. But if you have the time and you don't have the money, you might want to consider whether this would be a good trade-off for you. Number 6, do some research if you haven't heard of this one before because it's quite fascinating. It's called the Frozen Lifestyle. There are people, and this works especially well in bigger cities, where people choose to just get things for free. Many restaurants will throw away non-expired foods in their dumpsters. Cities put their garbage out every single evening. I saw a documentary on this and it was quite fascinating. I'm not sure if it's for me, but it was quite fascinating where these people would go out every evening and go through the dumpsters of the local businesses in the city to find things that they can eat or even wear. Many stores will take things off of the shelf before their expiration date and throw them in the garbage. I don't understand this concept at all. Maybe if you guys know why they do this, you can comment below and help me out here. I don't get it. Why would you throw away a box of crackers before the expiration date if they're perfectly good crackers? That's what this lady was doing. She was finding perfectly good food, non-perishable food that there's nothing wrong with in the garbage cans, and she would take it home and eat it. She was able to get all of her food for free from garbage cans. We've all heard of dumpster diving. I mean, there's some really great items that you can find in dumpsters that people just throw away because they don't want to be bothered. You could even find things on the side of the road and then turn around and sell them. There was a house right up the road here that had a very nice couch sitting outside for free that they just didn't want. If I needed the money, I could pick up that couch, bring it home, put it on Facebook Marketplace, and even sell it for, say, $50 and still be ahead of the game. They did not want to bother putting it on Facebook Marketplace. They just wanted to get rid of it, so they put it on the side of the road for free. Number 7, consider food rescue. There are a lot of local non-for-profit organizations that partner with local restaurants to take the foods that they no longer need or serve. If there's leftovers, they may take them and feed people, even feed the homeless with those foods. If you were to partner with them, you actually would be paid for your services by taking some of that food home. For example, when I was working years ago in my early 20s for a little coffee shop, they always had a large quantity of bagels at the end of the night. They made their own bagels, and they had a large garbage bag at the end of the night of bagels. It was perfectly fine. They weren't even stale. They would donate that to the local mission to help feed the homeless and to serve those bagels at the soup kitchen for the next day. If you were to volunteer to go around to the local businesses to collect the food, you would then get a portion of that food for yourself. Number 8, do everything yourself. Do not hire somebody else to do anything. Learn the skill and take care of it yourself. This would mean fixing things, repairing things, sewing things, and doing jobs that you can learn to do maybe on YouTube. Learn the skills to repair the things that you have around your home instead of hiring them out. Number 9, stay healthy. According to the American Bankruptcy Institute, medical expenses and medical debt is the second leading cause of bankruptcy. If you can keep yourself healthy, you do not have to worry about paying for medical expenses because medical expenses are expensive. Medications, dental, surgeries, doctor's visits, those expenses will bankrupt you. If you can stay as healthy as possible so you don't need to go to the doctor or need those medications or need that surgery or treatments, then you're one step closer to living on next to nothing. And number 10, live as off-grid as you possibly can. What would it look like for you to live off-grid? Well, it might look like solar panels or water collection, those kinds of things. It's probably a little far-fetched for many of us to live off-grid where we live right now. However, if you didn't have electricity, how would you get by? Could you live as off-grid as you possibly can in an apartment? What would that look like for you? That might mean not turning on the lights. That might mean collecting rainwater in a bucket off of your balcony or out your window. Consider the objective of saving money and living on next to nothing, and how could you be super resourceful and find ways to do the things that one might when they live off-grid. Those are 10 ways that you can live on next to nothing in an extreme situation. But are there any of these extreme ideas that you might be able to incorporate in a less extreme concept into your life? I know for me, there's a couple there that I find to be pretty fascinating. Thank you so much for joining. I truly appreciate you, and you have a great day. Bye-bye.